Welcome to the Wellness in Asheville podcast, where we shine a light on the people, practices, and places that make this city one of the most inspiring wellness communities in the country. I'm your host, Travis Richardson, founder of Be Well Asheville, your local news source for health, wellness, and community events. All right, so today's guest is someone whose work sits right at the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern sports medicine. And I'll be honest, after our pre-interview conversation, I walked away thinking that this is one of the most quietly rare approaches to bodywork happening in the entire region. Chad Johnson is the clinic director of Asheville Orthopedic Acupuncture, where he specializes in sports injuries, repetitive strain orders, complex orthopedic conditions, and much more. He integrates traditional Japanese acupuncture, advanced palpation techniques, trigger point therapy, and dry needling into a practice that's genuinely hard to find anywhere, let alone right here in Asheville. So without further ado, let's meet Chad. So we have Chad Johnson on with us today. How are you doing, Chad?
Doing well. Thanks, Travis. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk to you because as the listeners will hear in just a little bit, you do things quite differently from what most acupuncturists do in town. And I'm really excited to share that and myself learn more about that. But for someone who's never heard of you or your clinic, give us sort of the 1-minute breakdown of what you do and who you help.
Yeah. So most people fall under in the mind, body, spirit categories. They fall in one direction or the other. I'm firmly in the body section. So I have years of massage therapy experience. And, I palpate the whole body rather than just the pulse and look at the tongue. I get most of my information from palpation rather than those other two diagnostics. And so the patient, what they feel is someone who can read the body and find the pain spots and help remove them. In addition to that, I use a Japanese style, which allows me to test a point before I actually use it. So you can use your fingernail like it's a needle and press it right into the point where you want to have an effect on the body. And you can feel it change with palpation in the body. And so I get to test the point, and if it changes by 30%, that means I can go ahead and use a needle there. And the needle should get 60 to 80% relief from whatever's we're working with.
That's interesting. And I think that probably not a lot of people realize that the body has that kind of information system built into it that you can assess. That's actually pretty cool.
It happens immediately, so they get to feel the immediate change in the body. And then once you start using the needles and accessing the breath, then things really start to rapidly change.
Yeah, it seems like a natural kind of feedback loop. And so Asheville Orthopedic Acupuncture is the name of the business. And I guess just how did you personally kind of gravitate toward that name? Obviously, we've got the word orthopedic in it, and also the styles that you do. How did you come across these methods?
Well, I lucked out and went to the good school in New York City. So we learned 3 different styles of acupuncture. We didn't learn any herbs. For 3 whole years, we just practiced acupuncture the whole time. And so they taught us 3 different styles, and we learned how to use them individually and then mix them together and integrate them. And so you get to basically practice however you want to and use the best tools for the right patient.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess when did you? How long have you been in Asheville? And what makes you stay here? What do you like about Asheville?
So I graduated school in New York in 2011, and my wife and Nicole and I wanted to have a baby. So I said, well, New York City's not going to be the place. We were having some difficulty, and so I convinced her to move out of the city. And she's a New Yorker, so that was a difficult task. But anyway, I looked all over and found Asheville on the internet, and it's, says everything good about Asheville back in the early 2000s. And so we came and visited, and everything went really well. And we moved down here. We really love it here. And so we started in Biltmore Village under the name Chad Johnson Acupuncture because it was just me working in a rented room. And so I built my practice there. And when we moved over here to Haywood Road, we didn't want to have other people working under my name. And so we decided to change the name. We worked hard for that over a year. We tried to decide, well, we wanted Moxa House, but nobody understands that. So we just simplified and went to Asheville Orthopedic Acupuncture. Orthopedic work is what I do, acupuncture in Asheville, it just really fit. And so a
Yeah.
lot of people have responded to it too. So people come from ankle sprains to elbow sprains and all kind of stuff.
I think the more that a business niches down into a specialty like that, or and really tries to get good at something that is specific, the better results they have, the better testimonials. People talk a lot more word of mouth because it's
Hmm.
hey, you just go to hey, you got a problem with something related to an injury, or you're somebody who is looking to recover from a big event that you did. You're a big athlete, you go to Chad.
Yeah.
Um, so other thing that impressed me is that you do CEU courses. So I don't know how you have time to be in the office practicing and and developing out all these things. So when did the teaching side of things start to develop for you?
Yeah, I was troubled when I was first writing my first one. Like, what am I going to offer to acupuncture, that hasn't already been offered? And so I went right back to my strengths, palpating the body and feeling the channels. And so what I've done is I've created three classes, and they're basically front, back, and sides. And I'm teaching people how to palpate through the muscles and find the concentrations of pain and dysfunction, and learn how to use those other techniques to release those, and then work locally on it with massage or acupuncture or moxibustion, which we'll get to in a little while what moxa is. But you can use all three of those and successfully treat the muscles. And that's about the only three techniques I use. I don't do cupping or scraping, gua sha. I don't do a lot of that, or herbs. I don't practice any of that. I just stick with the physical work.
Yeah. Like I said, knowing your specialty. I mean, being an herbalist, honestly, is a profession to itself. Like I can't even imagine being a proper herbalist and also being anything else. If you're, you know what I mean. It's not a trivial study, especially with Chinese medicine. Like it is very complex. Yeah, you mentioned something in our preparatory call that we did before this around because I think I mentioned referred pain. I used to be a massage therapist, and of course, any massage therapist that's worth their weight in salt knows about how to understand referred pain and sort of trace back where things are in the body. They know the musculature, the ligaments and tendons. But you talk about sort of idea of reflexes in turn
Mhm.
instead of like referred pain. But all I understand is this referral mechanism. The reflexes that you test the same mechanism, or are they different from what somebody would consider like a referred pain scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question. Nobody's ever asked. But yeah, the referred pain pattern comes from a trigger point in the muscle, which is a hypertense nodule in a fiber of muscle. And then the muscle tightens up around that to protect it. And that creates a referred pain pattern to either the tendon on either end or even to a distal place. For instance, there's a trigger point in the calf muscle that refers pain to the jaw. I don't know how that works. But anyway, the reflexes that I'm testing are based on the Chinese chart here. And so I'll trace the body and find along these lines where the blockages are, and then use points along the channel either above or below, and reduce, and either other side, or you can use all different strategies. There's many different strategies.
And to a person getting work done in acupuncture, and I assume it's the same with your system, is if I come in for knee pain or any kind of pain somewhere, and you put a needle in my belly for some reason. It doesn't always make sense, does it? Like I don't always know why you're doing the thing that you're doing. But you are understanding the energetics in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The organs connect to the hands and feet through these channels. And so, yeah, once you understand this and learn all this for 3 years, you memorize it all, just like you would the herbs. And once you memorize it, you understand it in a deep level. And somebody comes in with, stomach trouble and knee pain. Well, they're both on the same channel. So we can treat both at the same time.
Yeah. And so I want to bring up the one of the so the people that you study with or the techniques. Kiiko Matsumoto is a Japanese acupuncturist, and I think that's where the you mentioned the whole body palpation technique kind of comes from. I
Yeah.
guess from an experience of somebody, let's say somebody who's received acupuncture before in a traditional way. They're
Mhm.
used to getting acupuncture. How when they actually get a treatment with you, does it is it different than what they'd expect?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you kind of already briefly talked about it, but walk us through
Mhm.
how it's a little bit different based on his technique.
Well, I specialize in pain, so when people come in, they usually point to their pain in the intake. They'll point to it when they're talking about it. So there, I know where the trigger point is once they point to it. Whenever they lay on the table, I'll start to palpate right there and all the muscles that are around that, the whole myotactic unit, back, the side, the other side, and find out where's the blockage for this person. Everybody's different. Everybody's got neck and shoulder tension, so I include a neck and shoulder release in each one of my sessions, to help people relax into it really deeply. I use all kind of strategies, whatever I'm feeling into and what this patient needs for that time. Some people are cooler, so they need more moxibustion, which is adding heat to the body. And so I do a lot of that, and that's why I call it Moxa House. Uh, mi- yeah, many offices won't let you burn Moxa in it because the windows or whatever, fire hazard. So we looked for over 2 years for this spot so I could burn Moxa in with windows. I got two opening windows and lots of sunshine. So it's just been a really good move for us.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this episode is supported by the ninth annual Love Shine Play Yoga Festival happening right here in Asheville, North Carolina, July 23rd through the 26th. If you're looking for a summer experience that actually nourishes your body, mind, and spirit, this is it. I've always said that Asheville is one of the most magical places for this kind of thing because of the energy that we have here. We've got the Blue Ridge Mountains as our backdrop, that creative, open hearted community vibe that you only find in Asheville. And this festival captures all of that perfectly. You've got world class yoga teachers, inspiring workshops, live music, nature experiences, and just a really beautiful, heart centered community coming together for 4 days. If that sounds something like your soul is calling for this summer, go check it out at loveshineplay.com and grab your tickets. All right. Thanks so much to Love Shine Play for supporting the show. And now let's jump back into it. All right. Well, let's get into some of the longevity based stuff because we kind of the topic that we talked about that would be of interest, I think, to the listeners is recovery optimization. Let's talk first about why you think that might be, or why did you choose that as like a longevity topic that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I see all kinds of recovery in here from viral recovery to, recovering from a fall or a sports injury or surgery. There's all kind of recovery that I see every day. So that really spoke to me. I think that acupuncture needs to be included with every surgical procedure. It has so much positive effect for these people. They recover so much faster when they have acupuncture before and after surgery. It's remarkable to see the difference.
One of the things I've always wondered about with acupuncture is, and I know in my massage therapy training, we just we became aware of how acupuncturists do their thing. Like even in other countries, like say Japan or even China, some of the way they do it is it's more of a rigorous. Like they'll even do it daily for
Mhm.
5, 6, 7 days. Obviously our society is not structured so that somebody can easily come by to the office every single day for 5 days. So how
Mhm.
do you understand that in terms of it still be obviously is still very effective even with weekly treatments, but what is your sort of like regimen and protocols, and what do you understand of that nature of being doing it every day for a time versus spreading it out?
Yeah. Well, the way I learned was for acute conditions, which are shorter than like 2 years. Recent acquisitions, those things usually clear, and we can do a course of 3 treatments and usually see a significant change in the presentation. and say it's 60% better, then we might do follow-ups once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, depending on what the patient needs. For a chronic condition, that's been there for more than 2 years, a course of 5 treatments is standard, and we'd like to do once a week for the 5 weeks, and that gives us the best chance to see if it's gonna really give it a change.
So let's talk about the patterns that you see a lot of. Do you have any sort of like example case studies of somebody coming in and they're kind of like the archetype patient that comes in and this is what I see and this is kind of how what I do and this is what I see as a result? What would
Yeah,
that look
yeah.
like?
Well, with a modern society, it really rubs people in a certain pattern, you know? Like I said before, neck and shoulder tension is one of them that I do for everybody, whether they come in and that's their chief complaint or not, they're gonna get a neck and shoulder treatment. In addition to that, right shoulder pain is very frequent, I think because of the mouse, people have to hover their hand when they do a mouse, and, that's
Hmm.
become a chronic thing with people, and, also right hip pain. The right hip and right shoulder go together, and when one goes, the other often goes with it. And in between that is the liver and kidneys. So that also plays a part in it, which we could get more into. But for the orthopedic section, the shoulder and hip are closely related. And people in modern times, they sit way more than they used to just 30 years ago. If you think
Yeah.
about Netflix, you sit back in the reclined position, same as the car. You sit on those gluteus medius muscles and it compresses them, pushes all the blood out for how many hours? 4 to 6 hours in a car ride, a plane ride, or watching Netflix or whatever. So what happens? It's called dead butt syndrome. Look it up. It's real. And so what happens is, it becomes necrotic because the blood is pushed away from the muscle attachment up there at the iliac crest.
Oh,
And so people get raging pain in the glute medius muscle. And they call it sciatica. Everybody comes in and says, I have sciatica or piriformis syndrome, but it's wrong in both cases. It's this gluteus medius muscle. And
oh,
so I treat it
interesting.
all the time. And the referred pain pattern is right here at the sacrum and L5. And so people think they have back pain but it's really coming from the hip muscle.
So how do you, and you just, how do you help people not aggravate that? Do you give them any sort of like, hey, let's work on your posture a little bit? I mean, I know
Yeah.
that's maybe outside of yeah, I was gonna say maybe that's outside of scope for what you do, but it almost like, well, you have to do something like that. Otherwise people are just going to keep coming back in and never get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, if you come in and get treatments and we warm up the muscles and we do all this work and then you go out and eat a bunch of ice cream, it's going to tighten back up because
Yeah.
ice and cold makes things shiver, and tighten up. Also, the sugar is not good for muscles, and that's a whole nother topic. But what I'm saying is diet has a lot to do with it. You need to hydrate, eat good food, rest, and also take the muscle through the full range of motion without any stress on it. The muscles love smoothness, and so if people go back to lifting weights or something, it's going to tighten right back up. But if you teach it how to smoothly open and close over time, like Qigong exercise, for instance, then that's going to strengthen the muscle, and then you can start to lift weights after a week or two.
Yeah, that all makes sense. I've seen that pattern too. I don't know in the what I've noticed in even massage therapy is that when I see almost like a reverse curve in the lumbar, the spine is reversed. And I have to wonder if a lot of that reversal is because of that laid back position, where you're literally constantly just never,
Yeah,
sticking your butt out, basically, for lack of
yeah.
better, if you
It,
can't visualize it.
it
But
totally reverses the curve.
yeah, and I've seen that pattern, and so then I'll see people that they're saying they have sciatica, and I just know enough about anatomy, and I look at them, and I'm like, we got to, I don't practice in any sort of capacity this way right now, but I really want to just be like, we need to work on your posture. Actually, you need to
Yeah,
get some
yeah,
treatment, go to Chad, but then we need to work on your posture and also some maybe some strength training in the core and the low back, maybe. Which
yeah.
brings me, I guess, to another point is do you do any other lifestyle recommendations or do you recommend other modalities outside of what you do in addition to, or does it? Yeah,
Sure.
how do you handle that?
Yeah, the three things that I try to get people to do all the time, and reset in their body are daily breathing exercise, movement and rest balance, and also hydration. If you aren't doing those three basic things, then you need to catch up, right?
Can you talk about the yeah, that's a really interesting point. And it sounds simple and like, well, everybody knows you should do everybody knows we should drink water.
Hmm.
And everybody knows that maybe we should, I don't know if everybody knows about the daily breathing, but I guess go through each one of those and why they're important and what can somebody do actionable. Like, after this podcast, they could say to themselves, okay, tomorrow I'm going to drink water in this way, this amount, or whatever it is. Like, how do you position each one of those?
Yeah, great. Hydration, for instance. If you sit at a computer and drink a sizable amount of water, it's going to mostly go right through to the bladder. Now, if you drink a half a cup of water and do some stretches, the water's going to go into those muscles through that action, and less of it will go to the bladder. So, how do you keep the water is the good question. And that's how you do drinking and then movement, basically.
Oh,
Yeah. And
phenomenal.
then then that's going to hydrate the muscle and it'll be able to contract and relax smoothly and get electrolytes and so forth and so on.
That is so okay. I gotta say, I've noticed. Actually, funny you say that. Just recently, um, I have noticed this exact thing. Is that when I drink a bunch of water and then I go on a run, which I love to run. Normally, if I were just milling about the house or, like you said, sitting or watching, I would have to go pee like right away. But if I go running, I'm surprised because I'm like, wow, how do I not have to go to the bath? I can go an hour, even two, come back and I still don't have that urge to go. It's but it might be a little TMI for folks listening, but it's true what you say there. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And then the breathing. How is this important and why is it important? And most people say it's important for meditation or to calm the mind and to relax the nervous system, and all those things are true. But from my perspective, what I see is that breathing is a two-part process from Chinese medicine perspective. Like if you have asthma and you go see an herbalist in Chinese medicine, they're going to say, do you have problems breathing in or out? And that's going to determine whether you treat the lungs or the kidneys. So the in breath sends oxygen to the kidneys. And if you think about it, the lungs go down to here, the kidneys are right about here too. So they kind of touch each other just about if you take a big breath in all the way to the lower lobes. So that deep in breath into the belly is going to connect the lungs and kidneys. Now, most of us, we don't do that deep in breath and it doesn't connect these two important organs. And so they don't have that connection, communication, interplay with each other unless we're doing this daily intentional breathing. I
And
like to call it conscious breathing.
and so what is the impact of this communication or connection between the two organs? Why do we want that?
A homeostasis. That's the
Mm,
real answer. The kidneys,
mm.
they're the first organs that form whenever you're in the embryo in your mother, in the placenta. The two kidneys form, then the nervous system and brain come out, and then the bones and the other organs come from there. So the kidneys have all the information to heal your body. And if you include them in the cycle, it's going to help heal the body better.
Mm. Fascinating.
Hmm.
Well, that brings us to the last one: balance, movement, and rest.
Yeah, balance,
So,
movement, and
how's that?
rest.
Yeah, how's that work?
I,
What do you mean
I,
by balancing those two?
yeah, I get a lot of A types in here. And I help them get better, and then they go out and do their thing, and they hurt themselves again and again and again. It happens all the time. Also, some people, they take care of themselves and they get better rapidly. But I do see a lot of A types, and especially after when you're recovering from something, illness, surgery, or anything else, you're going to want to rest more than you normally do. You're going to want to hydrate more than you normally do. And the breathing is what's going to help shift in between those transitions. So if it's time for you to go to rest, I recommend doing 10 belly breaths at night, laying in your bed, closing your eyes, ready to go to sleep. If you focus just breathing into the belly, and I tell people 60% in, 100% exhale. So there's no counting, it's just space and moving air. Now I think about the waves on the beach coming in real slow and going out real slow. And that's the rhythm I try to set when I'm breathing. And when I tell people to exercise, that's the breathing I'm trying to get them to do. And so if they create that rhythm in the body, that's much different than this conversation we're having now, where this form of a wave pattern is a square when you're breathing choppy, short breaths. But when you're breathing smoothly, it creates a rhythm, and the body loves a rhythm. And so you'll go to sleep faster, stay asleep longer, and your body will heal while you sleep.
Yeah. I know when I personally have done breath work, and I've done it throughout the day as a practice. I don't do this now. And I only did it for a test. And the test was, what if I stayed conscious of my breath all day? As much as possible. And obviously I'm not, you get busy, obviously. So but to come back to it as much as possible.
Mhm,
And I gotta tell you, my sleep improved so much. I just could not believe it. Didn't matter what was going on during the day either. I could have the same stressors as any other day, and they could
mhm.
be fairly decent stressors. But as long as I was focusing on the breath, it seemed like it was really protective for uh, my hormones or something. My ability to sleep was, and I have problems with sleeping, so for me, it was a big win there.
Well, that's what I
Uh,
do to help shift to sleep at night. During the day, I do a different breathing pattern to where it helps keep me from an 8, it keeps my 8 down at a 5. And I can use this anywhere. When I go wash my hands, sometimes in the clinic, I'll do this breathing technique. And it looks like this. You take a big breath in and you raise your shoulders and drop them real hard like this. And then you do 2 more breaths, 60% in, 100% out real slow, and you recreate that rhythm I was talking about. And just those 3 breaths, you can bring your 8 down to a 5. And if you do it again, you can bring it down to a 3 and bring yourself to a calm, assertive state.
I like that technique. I've never heard that. That sounds like a really interesting. I like the release too, the sudden release of the shoulders dropping down. One of the things I and I do know is that when I do breath work, I once put maybe there's some heart math users out there listening. Heart math is a biofeedback device, and it measures heart rate variability among other things, also known as HRV. Some of the Apple Watches are doing that now as well. I don't think as well as heart math. But anyways, you can go and put this thing on, and you can do some breath work, and lo and behold, all of a sudden your waveforms start looking really, really good. Now go
Mhm.
back to your normal breathing patterns, and all of a sudden your heart rate variability drops to crap again. So,
Right.
um, the power of the breath, yeah, can't be understated there. All
Well,
right.
if
Well,
you
I have
think
a
about it, the lungs are kind of like pillows on either side of the heart. So when you inhale, it compresses the heart. And when you exhale, it slowly releases the heart. And that's what creates the slower rhythm in the heart. Yeah, it's
okay.
pressure.
See,
It's just pressure on the heart.
that's makes so much sense. That's okay. So this is all making sense to me. You're
And
inducing a natural
furthermore,
rhythm.
the whole body is piezoelectric, which means if you press a place on the body, it's going to create energy inside the body. Like a quartz watch, they create pressure on the quartz, it creates energy in there. The same thing with the body. We create energy all the time. And the stuck muscles are only just holding that energy in one spot, and we're trying to move the energy. That's all.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Mm.
Uh, well, I have a question. So now back to longevity in general.
Mhm.
So one of the things I think is really important, and I mention this, and I'll probably mention this on most of the episodes I do around longevity as a topic here, is that we have to be careful as we get older to not lose muscle,
Mhm.
to not lose bone. And these two things obviously lead to some of the more disastrous things that can happen as we age: fall down, break our hip, um, get diabetes because we have no muscle, because we have no muscle to process the glucose, et cetera, et cetera. So I think acupuncture, and especially what you do, might be helpful for somebody even preventatively as they go through an aging process, so that they can have a better chance to not injure themselves to begin with, but also keep the energy flowing so that they can perform exercise better, sleep better, all those kind of. I guess, does that something? I would assume that people don't come to your office for that reason, but should they?
At least half a dozen or more come to see me for that reason. They're like, I got too much responsibility. I can't die. I'm the last one left. So I have to be able to walk and work and pay these people and do all these things. So, yeah, I see those people once every 2 weeks or once every month, depending on their stress load and what their situation is.
Okay,
Usually
so
they're pretty
perfect.
healthy if they have that much responsibility. They're pretty healthy people. They can drive in. And so, yeah, that's a big part of people's regimen for staying healthy.
Okay, that's good to know. I really recommend that most people try and find a way to do some kind of self care. I always say, get yourself if you can go do a massage, or go get some acupuncture, but do something for self care. And I also say there's something that happens too when you go into an office to get some self care, like go get some acupuncture. The fact that you lay down on a table and just rest for a moment while
Mhm,
someone
mhm,
takes care of you
mhm,
is itself, I think, almost sometimes 50% of what happens as an outcome, because your body starts to, all of a sudden, the hormones shift. You your breath starts to relax.
mhm.
This person is caring for you, and we don't get that a lot of times in our
Yeah,
daily
when I get
lives.
a brand new patient that's never had acupuncture, you can see how nervous they are when they first come in. They can hardly close their eyes. They're asking questions. By the third treatment, they come in and they're just out. They just lay there and relax and receive and just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so what do you feel like is, I guess, the future for you? I know you're doing the CEUs, you're teaching. Like, where do you see your practice heading in the future?
Well, we moved over here to Haywood so we could grow a practice and have more people coming in to work with us and try to, influence the wellness in Asheville. And so, yeah, we're hiring a new acupuncturist very soon and another massage therapist. So, yeah, we're just actively trying to acquire and build the business. We moved over here June right before Hurricane Helene, so that really stuck us in the foot there for a minute, and we've been just trying to build up since then. I did my first CE course last year, and I've been writing the other 2 cents. So, we'll be announcing that soon, and if people are interested, they could, go to our website, which we'll get them later, and sign up for those updates. And any patients that want to come see me, same page.
Nice. So is that acupuncturist going to be trained in the same way, or is that going to be a different style? Or it must be
N-
hard to
n-
come by.
right, right. She is trained locally at Dallas Traditions. So yeah,
Nice.
we'll do so. I'll do some, orthopedic coaching and try to help her out in that area and help her treat the things that I see the most: the right shoulder pain, the right hip pain, the neck stuff. These are stuff I see every day, all day.
Well, I think her training plus the things that you can offer this particular person is going to be an amazing asset to the business. So I feel like you're headed in a very good direction there. And in
Yeah,
fact, it might be a benefit actually coming into the combination of the skill sets might actually be uh, a, a better situation. Yeah.
absolutely. She has herbs, so she knows all about herbs. I don't know hardly anything about all these herbs, so it'll be good to have her around. And we also have a
Perfect.
PT who rents here, and yeah, we're just trying to build a good, happy team of wellness practitioners.
Nice. Well, I'm always happy to send people your way, especially anytime somebody has an injury or something like that. I'll know where to send them. I'm building a referral system myself, and I love sending good people to go get help with other good people. So, all right.
Awesome,
Well,
thank you.
let's. Yeah. Now you've got a bit of an offer here, a website that you'd like to people to know about, to go to begin to find you and work with you.
tinyurl.com/Moxa House. Moxa is spelled Moxa and House, all one word, Moxa House.
Okay, awesome. Well, that'll be how people can find you and your
Yeah.
business.
Or we're on the web at Asheville Orthopedic Acupuncture. You can find that on Google as well. So give us a call.
Okay. Last thing. I got a rapid fire question for you here.
All right.
Your own personal advice for somebody who's been living in, let's say, chronic pain and feels like they've tried everything. What do they do?
Yeah, make an appointment. Come see me. I had chronic pain for 35 years and I lived with it and I didn't know what to do with it. And that's how I got to this very point. So most of the things I'm treating, I've had in my own life. So that's why I know how to do it so well.
A beautiful answer, Chad. It's been awesome. I really appreciate our time together. And again, folks, I really think you should go check out what they're doing over there. I think the style that you do, I feel like I want to come over and get a treatment. I gotta find out more about this palpation and this
You should. Yeah, I'd
reflex.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, give us a
Okay,
call. Nicole, she's the one who answers the phone. She's my wife and she runs the business and I do the clinical side of it. So she'll just guide people in wherever they need.
okay. Well, wonderful. You have a good evening, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot, Travis.
Yeah. All right. That was Chad Johnson. And I genuinely think this conversation is going to change how a lot of people understand what's possible for their bodies. The kind of precision, the depth of palpation, the integration of Japanese acupuncture lineage with modern trigger point science. This is not your average session, and it's happening right here in Asheville. Head over to tinyurl.com/Moxa House to learn more and book with Chad. Until next time, be well. Thank you for listening. You can catch the next episode while on your way to yoga at the Radical, relaxing in the salt caves, or floating in the float tanks at Still Point Wellness. You can check out more Asheville wellness news and events and join our newsletter at bewellasheville.com. And as always, thank you for being the best part of our wellness community. And until next time, be well.